So the hardest thing about what we're doing with today's lesson is the difference between the situation equation and the solution equation. So basically the situation equation is setting it up the way it's set up in the problem. So it says at the chicken ranch this morning, there were 7,149 chicks. Later today, some more chicks hatched. So because some more came, and we don't know how many there were, we're going to leave that blank. And now the ranch has 8,945 chicks. That's the situation equation. The solution equation is just switching it so that the unknown is the answer. So we would take this and we'd say 8,945 minus 7,141 equals whatever. I guess we could say C for chicks. And that's our solution equation, and then all you have to do is take those two numbers and subtract them to find your answer. Number 2 says the library had a large collection of books. Then the librarian ordered 2,000 more books. Now there are 12,348 books. How many books were there at the start? In other words, we don't know how many books there were at the start. Then the library ordered more books. Now there are 12,358 books. That's your situation equation. Now the solution equation makes the variable on the part of the answer. So we're going to take 12,358 minus 2,000 in order to figure out B. And then that's your solution equation. And then once you do that, that's going to be your answer. Rosa's parents collected $682 at their yard sale. They paid her for helping out that day. Now they have $662.25. How much money did they pay her? So they had $682, and I'm going to write it like this so that I don't forget about that decimal point. Then they paid her. When you pay somebody, you are getting rid of money. So they paid Rosa, I'm going to say P for paid. Now they have $662.25. That's your situation equation. Now I'm going to take this, and in order to figure out what P is, I'm going to take $682 and I'm going to subtract $662.25, and that's going to give us what they paid Rosa. So that's the solution equation, meaning you can find the solution. So now making sure you're lining up your decimal points. So you'll set it up like this: 682 minus 662 and 25. Make sure you are borrowing and that you're not just subtracting without borrowing. So you're going to have to come over here and borrow, and you can figure out the rest. Number 4 says Marco sells caramel apples at the state fair. Today he sold 657 apples, and now he has 1,062 left to sell. How many apples did he begin with? In other words, we don't know where he started. He sold 952. When we sell something, usually we're subtracting it. Now he has 1,062 apples. This is our situation equation. Now we're going to switch it around so we can find our solution. We're going to take this. Now this is a little bit confusing. To find our first number we want to be our biggest number because he started with the most. So we have to add these two numbers, and that gets us our solution equation. Then our answer, we just have to add those two together. In this section, they're hoping that you're going to be using your mental math skills to figure out the variables. So if we look here, I have 80,000 and I need to get to 82,000. So I need another 2,000 added in. Again, I have 655. I need 2,655. So again, it's going to be 2,000. Most of these are just, they're trying to get you to use mental math. On the remembering side, I gave you a little chart that I kind of cut off at the top, reminding you that you have kilometers, that's your far distance. It's kind of a little bit like miles. You have meters, which is like yards. It's like the yardstick you see in classrooms. It's about, you could kind of think of it as your arm span. And you have centimeters, which is like the width of your pinky. And you have millimeters, which is really small. So the width of this button, if you think this is about the size of your pinky, so this is going to be centimeters. The length of this pencil, again, this would be, you couldn't use meters because that would be way too long. You're going to use centimeters again for this. The length of an ant would use millimeters because it's really small. It would probably be about 1.5 centimeters, which means it's better to use millimeters. And the longest dimension of the entire classroom, if you think about your span of your arm, you would use meters for that. A foolproof way to make sure you aren't getting these wrong is to write out, you're going to tenths. So you have tenths. So I have to fill in that one space. Here I'm filling in 20 million. So we have million. Well, let me do it this way. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, 100,000s, million, 10 millions, and then fill in the spots. Same thing here. You have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, and then fill in your spots. Here I'm going up to 10,000s because I have 65,000. So I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. And here I'm going all the way up to 100,000s, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. And here again I have 100,000s. So I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. And so then I'm going to do number 10. When you fill in your spot, you have 604,000. So we say 604,000. Here you have 240,000, and then I have 12, which means I need to put that 0 here. And lastly, you have a bar graph that's turned on its side, still a bar graph. First, how many angelfish are in the aquarium? That is a nice, easy one. I'm not going to give you that one. And how many catfish and clownfish are there together? You need to look at your catfish here and your clownfish here, and because it's all together, obviously you're going to add.